how's it going? I'm Marlena, and thanks for wandering by. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. For those of you that saw my last video that went up was my plans and goals for 2023. And one of my goals for learning and study this year is to get more serious about learning about the I Ching. Now, I am a complete newbie to the I Ching divination system, its history. I've been studying just a little bit here and there, but what I wanted to do this year is get more involved in terms of study. I am interested in the I Ching mainly coming from a tarot avenue. You might have seen already. If not, you can go check out. I started a series on the I Ching and its tarot correspondences with the tarot court cards. So that's kind of like my very limited knowledge so far, comparing an I Ching hexagram with one of the tarot court cards. So you can check out that video series as well. But what I'd like to do for you today is I want to give you some resources if you're interested in doing a study like this yourself. If you're brand new to learning about the I Ching, then I'm going to give you books I recommend, videos I recommend, free resources that I recommend, and as well as the decks that I'm going to be using. I'm going to give you just a teeny tiny brief synopsis of what I have learned so far. And that's like through the last, I want to say like half a year maybe that I started getting into learning anything about I Ching. And then tell you what it is that I'm going to be doing in my course of study these next couple months. Okay, so if you are learning or want to learn the I Ching, then this video is really just about giving you a kind of a basic starting point, a place to like maybe find some resources that may help you in your pursuit. All right, so we'll get into it. So this is my 2023 lunar and seasonal diary for the Northern Hemisphere. And you might wonder, why am I showing you this in a video that's dedicated to giving you some resources about the I Ching? Well, this is the calendar where I'm going to house like all of my study and learning endeavors for this year. And I wanted to share with you how I'm going to approach learning I Ching this year and kind of give you what I know so far about the I Ching. So just so you know, like in terms of learning the history of the I Ching and what it is, I highly recommend as a starting point that you go to Benabel Wen's video that I'm going to link in the description box below. Benabel Wen, you may know her as the creator of the Spirit Keepers Tarot. She is here on YouTube. She's an author of the Holistic Tarot and a couple of other books. I don't know all of her titles, but this year, Benabel Wen in June is coming out with an I Ching book called I Ching the Oracle. And so I'm kind of gearing myself up now that I know about that book, because I didn't know. Now that I know about that book, I'm gearing myself up to getting some basic understanding before then I go next level with Benabel's book. And you can pre-order that on Amazon. I'll give you the link to all of that below as well. Now, she just put out like how like synchronistic or fortuitous or magical or whatever. She just posted a video that is kind of like a summary synopsis of the I Ching. That's like 10 minutes long, and it's amazing, and there's a wealth of information in there. So I'm going to link that below. But the thing about the I Ching and what I know so far is that it is a 5,000-year-old divination system. It is the most ancient divination text that we have, I believe, from what I understand. It is the Book of Changes. So that's what I Ching translates to, the Book of Changes. And speaking of translations, the I Ching, the book, the text itself, there's a gazillion translations of it. So I'm just gonna give you like a couple of resources that I recommend that through my research and whatever seemed like the ones that would be the best fit for me as a complete and utter beginner, and then maybe where I can go kind of next level. That's what I recommend for in terms of like kind of just getting like a overall view and an overall understanding of what the I Ching is in general. You can visit Benabelle's video and it gives you some insight there. I think she does a much better job of explaining that than I do. So after you visit Benabelle's video, you'll have learned a few basic things about the I Ching. Like I told you, it is an ancient divination text. And you, in order to divine, the Chinese practitioners of the I Ching, the ancient method was to use yarrow sticks in order to cast and divine. But at some point, I'm not sure when, it's now in more modern times, people use coins in order to divine. And you can get really muddied up and confused about how to cast coins. Oh my gosh. And I watched a video of a I Ching practitioner who was showing the method of the yarrow sticks. And that's a whole other thing that's like really involved. So, I mean, it's cool to learn about, but like it can get you really kind of confused because there's like numbers, points, math, like all that kind of stuff, which is cool. But like, it just, if you follow that rabbit hole, you might get a little bit confused. So in order to simplify things, obviously, right now I have casted coins, but for my study right now, I'm not going to be casting coins yet. I'm going to be reading about things like that, but I'm not going to be in my study casting coins just yet. But I did cut out an image of the coin system, the coin combos, and how you arrive at your trigrams and hexagram by casting coins. So did I say that? I didn't say that. Let me back up because the I Ching is made up of yin and yang lines. There's the trigrams, that's what this is right here. These are the different trigrams that when you cast coins and put these together, then you get your I Ching hexagrams. And that's what this chart is here. So I'm going to link a video below that I think is a really good simplified way of explaining how to cast your coins. Then you'll have, if you've watched Benabelle and if you look up and read from the books that I'm going to recommend, then you'll know that the trigrams are elementals. So earth, mountain, water, wind, thunder, fire, lake, and heaven. And when you cast your coins, you go from the bottom up, creating your trigram, one trigram and then another trigram, and that forms your hexagrams. So this is a chart that if you were to get mountain, you would mountain under lake or lake over mountain, you would go to this system and find that it is hexagram 31. Okay, so that's just the basics of what I know so far. And there are a couple of different arrangements of these particular hexagrams in the order that they come in. The most ancient and the one that you'll find in most places is the one that you see here, which is the King Wen arrangement, but one of the decks that I have, the Barbara Walker deck, has these hexagrams in a different arrangement. Anyway, that's all just like, you know, the basic things. So I have this in here just for reference. And what I'd like to show you though, just real briefly, is how I'm going to be spending the next 64 days. So it's nothing like super fancy. This is my, like I said, this is my calendar that I'm going to be keeping track of this study along with other studies and readings and things that I'm going to be working on. But basically what I'm going to be doing, my I Ching study begins on Monday, and I'm going to just be taking one hexagram at a time. So there are 64 total I Ching hexagrams, and I'll show you real quickly the decks. I don't know if it'll be real quickly, but I'll show you the decks that I have as well. And every single day, I'm not going to be casting or divining. I'm just going to be investigating one hexagram per day. So I have number 1, and I'm following the King Wen arrangement. So I am starting with, well, actually both arrangements start with the same hexagram, but anyway, and this is heaven over heaven or sky over sky. These are the yang lines, and the broken one is the yin line. So number 1 is the creative or the creative force. It's translated a couple different ways. But yeah, and so I'm going to read from my different sources, look at my different decks, and make notes here each day for the 64 hexagrams as I go. That's my plan. Totally basic, totally beginner. I do recognize that learning how to cast the coins and divine with the I Ching has to do with the hexagram, but also something called changing lines. And I'm not prepared to do that study yet. I want to first walk through the 64 hexagrams and then get to that point. So let me show you next the coins that I have set aside for when I get ready to cast coins, and then I'll show you the books, and finally I'll show you the decks. All right, so let's get there. So if I didn't mention already, but you'll pick it up in Benabelle's video when you watch that as well, or any other. There was also another series of I Ching YouTube videos that I watched that were real, just like brief and basic to help me understand the I Ching as a whole. Because the I Ching contains the Tao. So it's basically the creation or everything in the universe. So it's, you know, a giant concept with a very elegant system. I think I said in one of my videos that I was doing the I Ching and tarot court correspondences that the I Ching is simple. Now, like that's true and not true as well. Like there's very, like it's a very elegant, like very simple in terms of like the way that it is encompasses all of everything in these lines, in this very elegant like yin and yang, trigram, hexagram lines. And it is a divinatory system that is meant to give you advice, practical advice, but there's also a very spiritual element to it. So it's also incredibly complex in that it is like what it answers, how you use it, and then like just the method of casting the coins and the yarrow sticks, and like the amount of information that you can gather about it can be a lot. So it's simple, it's complex, it's elegant, it's beautiful, it's, when I'm looking forward to studying. So in this little box, I have the coins that I've set aside as my special coins that I would like to use when I cast coins for the I Ching. And I'll just quickly show you. This is a coin that was gifted to me by a friend from a Buddhist temple that they went to. And I only have one. I do have in the Divination kit some other Chinese coins. But you would, I believe, decide that this is heads and this is tails. I'm not sure. I told you I'd leave you the link of the video below that has one of the best, most simple ways of understanding how to cast coins. And so good. So they do a much, much better job than I do in explaining that. Now, these coins I have shown before on my channel. These are, so I'm the daughter of Cuban exiles. My parents came to the United States from Cuba in the 50s, mid 50s and early 60s. So my father is a Cuban exile, and he is also someone who collects coins. And I asked him when I was getting involved in studying I Ching if he had any Cuban coins that are pre-revolution. So these are before communism, before Castro in Cuba. These are coins from that time period. So I was really excited to have these. And basically, you just want to make sure that you know the difference between the heads. So this is the head side of this coin, and this is the tails. I hope you can see that. So yeah, so these are my special coins. I would like to have more of Chinese coins. So I'm on my way to gathering that, but I just keep these on my reading table because they're special. Now we're gonna move on to books. So you guys, I apologize that I don't have physical books to show you because all of the I Ching books that I have, one of them I'll just insert a picture of, but most of them that I have right now are on my Kindle. Now this is the I Ching or Book of Changes by Wilhelm Baines, and this is the Bulligan series. This is probably the one that feels the most scholarly and academic. And it's the one that was, it's very meaty. This is the one that was recommended by different folks on YouTube and in research that I did as one of the most definitive translations of the I Ching. So it has, I haven't gotten into it very far, but it has the text and it has the commentaries and it has just a wealth of information for you. So in my first kind of basic study of just taking one hexagram per day to take a look at, this is one of the books that I'm going to be using in order to do that. And this one I think will also help me on my next level in terms of understanding the I Ching and using it in divination, using it the way it's meant to be used, using the system of divination. So let me get on to the next book that I have. Next I have I Ching Guide for Beginners, Seek Guidance and Wisdom from the Book of Change by Clarissa Lightheart. And to be completely honest with you guys, when I got my Kindle for Christmas, I also got the free 4 months, Kindle Unlimited. So the last book that I showed you, I purchased outright, but these next two, I went searching for I Ching books in Kindle Unlimited because I have access to these books because of Kindle Unlimited. So I thought, why not? And so I found this one and another, and this one is really good so far. For beginners, it's exactly what it says it is. It's very good for beginners. There's a little bit of a foreword about, what this author thinks the I Ching is for, yada, yada. But really, when you get into So like, disclaimer, blah, blah, blah. Let me go through the introduction. So like past the introduction, like these first bits of it, the history of the I Ching, the origin of the I Ching, like I read all of that, like, you know, material at the beginning. And that's like a wonderful place for a beginner to start. It gives you a really brief synopsis and understanding of what the I Ching is, where it came from, the origin. I don't know, you know, so much about the role. I think there's probably other places to learn more about that. Just a little bit briefly on ancient Chinese dynasties, and the I Ching today. This part, applying the I Ching to everyday life, I feel like there's lots of different authors who have lots of different takes on what that means. But this is a good little book, Well, I mean, I don't know, it's not that little, but it's a good place to start. And then really where I'm going to be spending my time is reading the summaries and the stuff about the 64 hexagrams. So I'm going to use that other book, which has the translations, the summary, the commentaries and things about each hexagram itself. So for example, this is, you know, the first one, the creative. So it has the representation, it has the judgment, it has the image and an analysis. And then this is the part that I'm not there yet, the line by line reading. So like when you do I Ching divination, you know, there's a whole thing about changing lines and reading your message line by line, depending on which lines you got. And that's going to be like my next level of study. I'm not there yet. Right now, like we're just doing the 64 hexagrams, if that makes sense to you. Another book that I got from my Kindle Unlimited is I Ching 2022 by Robert Trainer. And the reason why I have all of these different books, the first one is because they were recommended by, you know, people that seem like scholarly and academic, that I kind of wanted that type of lens to go through. And then I also wanted just some sort of more like simplified basic things, which that last text seemed like it would be written in a language that's a little bit more, you know, simplified and easy to wrap my head around. And then this one was also one that was in my Kindle Unlimited choices. And I just thought, you know, it can't hurt to have another place to, you know, look and read an interpretation of the I Ching, a translation of the hexagrams as well. Yeah, so that is I Ching 2022 by Robert Trainer. This one I haven't really dipped into much. I know that it has, let's see, I'll go to the how to consult, how to interpret, and then it really just gets right into the translation, the hexagrams themselves. So like hexagram 1, which is where we'll start, it has the depiction, the representation of the hexagram, and then it gets into the judgment, etc. And then it goes into the line by line reading. Those are the books that I have so far on my Kindle. I'm going to pop up here the image of Benabel Wen's book, which is in pre-order status right now, and it is called I Ching, the Oracle. And then I also want to put here another book that I had borrowed from the library that I am waiting. I'm waiting for it to arrive because I want to have like a physical. I want to also have a physical book that I can write in and highlight, and that book is called The Living I Ching. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the author's name off the top of my head, but you'll see it in the picture that I'm going to be putting right here. So those are all of the books that I am using in my I Ching preliminary basic, study. So this is a deck that was gifted to me by a very dear friend of mine. And this is just a real basic, I Ching divination kit that that she found at Barnes and Noble, because she was just like, meandering around. So it's and she and I have both wanted to study I Ching, so she got a copy for her and a copy for me. So the I Ching complete divination kit, this you can find at Barnes and Noble, but I'll also leave an Amazon link below for you in case you're interested in. It has a little guidebook, which is I'm going to be reading. I did read a lot of the preliminary material in here. It gives you just like casting a hexagram, and it gives you the interpretations of the hexagram. It does not discuss the reading of the changing lines. So this is not like a complete book of changes. So if you get this kit, you'll definitely want to also get a translation of the book of changes as well. Okay, this also comes with 3 coins for you to cast. And it has the cards. So I have all my cards in order, so I don't want to they all look exactly the same, basically. So I don't want to mess it up too much. But it has the hexagram, the title. I'm not sure what this writing is. I don't know if it's from the judgment or where it's from in terms of where it appears. And then on the back, it has like an interpretation and a couple of questions. So it's pretty cool. And it's, basic and will work well for my particular purposes, which is basically just giving me another source of how to understand. How to understand the hexagrams. But as you can see, it's not as involved in terms of understanding the changing lines, which is a very important aspect of I Ching divination. So on to the next deck. So this is Barbara Walker's I Ching of the Goddess divination kit. And unfortunately, I'm sorry guys, this is out of print, but it's not like that difficult to find. Like I found mine on eBay, and I think you can find it other places. Anyway, I always say that because it is an out of print one, but it is not like that hard to get your hands on it in different various places. So Barbara Walker's I Ching of the Goddess. So this is like a completely different take on the I Ching. It's Barbara Walker's take on the I Ching. And I love Barbara Walker, so I'm excited to also incorporate this deck into my study. So the Barbara Walker I Ching of the Goddess, so she starts with the number 1, the air over air, heaven over heaven, creative force as the number 1 hexagram. But after that, she follows a completely different arrangement of the I Ching hexagrams. So I did this, you guys. I went through and I ordered the hexagram. I put this deck in order of the hexagram according to the King Wen arrangement, which is the one that pretty much is the one that you find everywhere. So that is what I have done in order to like simplify my process. And it was really cool because it really helped me learn the trigrams better to understand each of the 3 sets of lines and whether it's heaven or wind or thunder and that kind of thing. So I'm getting there. And Barbara Walker, I'm definitely going to be getting into her guidebook. She has the hexagram chart. She has a synopsis and write-up for every single card, but she doesn't include the changing lines in terms of her engagement in divination with the I Ching, and so that's a little bit different as well. But I'm excited to have this as a part of my study. Okay, last but certainly not least is probably my favorite I Ching deck that I own. I've shown this many times on my channel for those of you that have been here before. This is the Visionary I Ching cards by Paul O'Brien, art by Joan Larimore. From my understanding so far, this is a little bit of a more modern take on the I Ching divination system. The cards are beautiful. I have mine all in order right now. It has the title, it has your hexagram here in the corner. And then it gives you the elementals, sky above, sky below, heaven, you know, this is also called heaven or air, as we saw in Barbara Walker. This is a great guidebook. It has a lot of material at the beginning that explains I Ching, hexagrams, and then it gets into your hexagram. And then this one does include an interpretation of the changing lines. So it's nowhere near as involved as the books that I have in my Kindle to read more about the history of the I Ching, as well as like a translation of the Book of Changes. This is like, you know, a little bit different. And it has the trigram wheel, and it also has the hexagram chart here, which is great. So like, this is a good one to pick up as a beginner as well. And also if you're somebody that's into tarot and, you know, cards, you might enjoy this one as well. That was it for my recommendations for resources on what I've gathered up so far for my very basic beginner study of the I Ching. I certainly will keep you posted and updated of my study and how things go. Look out for my I Ching and tarot court card videos as those come out as the year goes on. And yeah, I thank you so much for sticking around with me. I hope that you found this helpful, and I hope that you all have a beautiful, wonderful day.